thought about it carefully. Then she began to write. The day I learned we were never alone. In her essay, she wrote about the day 5 years ago. She did not know all the details then, but she knew them now. She wrote about how scared the adults must have been, how brave Captain Hana was, how Minho kept teaching even while monitoring the danger above, how the entire human fleet mobilized to protect one small settlement. But the most important part of her essay was at the end. She wrote, I used to think the grown-ups watched over us because it was their job. Now I understand it is because we are worth protecting. Not because we are weak, but because we are the future. They taught me that being human means never abandoning those who depend on you. Someday, when I have children of my own, I will watch over them the same way. And if anyone threatens them, they will learn what the Thraxi learned, that human children sleep peacefully not because the universe is safe, but because we make it safe. The essay was chosen for a galactic writing competition. Students from hundreds of worlds submitted entries. Kira won first place. Her essay was translated into hundreds of languages. It was read by billions of beings across the galaxy. The Thraxi High Command ordered it to be taught in their schools, not as a story about their defeat, but as a lesson about what really matters, about what is truly worth fighting for. Kryn, who was still at the settlement, read the essay. He remembered the day 5 years ago when Kira had given him that drawing. He still had it, carefully preserved. It reminded him of what he had learned. That strength without purpose is meaningless. That protection is more honorable than conquest. That children are not a weakness, but the best reason to be strong. On the wall of Minho's classroom hung a plaque from the United Earth Systems Navy. It said, in recognition of exemplary service protecting humanity's future. Minho was proud of it. But his favorite decoration was simpler. It was an old drawing by Kira from years ago. Stick figures of children sleeping under a protective dome of stars. Every night, Minho looked at that drawing before going home. It reminded him why he did this work, why he chose to teach instead of returning to military service. Because this was the real battle, raising children who would be kind, smart, and strong, children who would make the galaxy better. And every night, in orbit above the planet, ships kept watch. Captain Hana had been promoted to admiral now. She commanded a larger fleet. But she often visited this system. It held special meaning for her. This was where the galaxy learned to respect human determination. The universe had learned a fundamental truth about humanity. They were not conquerors. They were not warriors seeking glory. They were gardeners carefully tending the flowers of their civilization. And those gardens were protected by the most fierce guardians the galaxy had ever seen. Guardians who only existed because someone had once threatened the flowers they were growing. The children of the settlement played in the fields, learned in their classrooms, and slept peacefully at night. They did not know that their safety had changed the galaxy. They did not know that their peaceful lives were defended by incredible power and unwavering dedication. They were just children. And that was exactly how it should be. Because in the end, that was what made humans special. Not their weapons or their ships or their technology, but their absolute unbreakable commitment to protecting the innocent, to making sure every child could be just a child, to turning the dangerous universe into a safe home. And the galaxy would never forget the lesson the Thraxi learned that day, that you should never mistake gentleness for weakness, that those who protect children will stop at nothing, that humanity's greatest strength was not in their military might, but in what they chose to do with that might. The stars continued to shine, the settlement continued to grow, and the children continued to dream, protected, safe, loved forever and always. They saw cubs sleeping peacefully, not realizing they were protected by humans' part. 3 weeks had passed since the battle. The Thraxi Empire had withdrawn all their ships from human space. They moved back to their own territories and stayed there. But the galaxy wanted to know what happened. Why did the mighty Thraxi retreat? Ambassador Heejin arrived at a neutral space station to meet with Thraxi representatives. She was a diplomat, trained to negotiate and make peace. But she was also a mother. She had 2 children back on Earth. That made her the perfect person for this meeting. The Thraxi sent High Commander Thrax to negotiate. He was old for a Thraxi with many scars from many battles. He had never lost a war before. He had never retreated before. This was new and uncomfortable for him. They met in a white room with a large table. Heejin sat on one side. Thrax sat on the other. Between them, a translator device helped them understand each other perfectly. Ambassador, Thrax began, I am here to formally apologize for Commander Vex's actions. He acted without proper authorization. He will be punished. Hyejin listened calmly. High Commander, our intelligence says differently. Commander Vex had orders from your High Command. He was following a plan to attack 12 human settlements. Thrax was silent for a moment. She was right, and they both knew it. Yes, he admitted. That is true. We made a mistake. A terrible mistake? Why did you target settlements with children? Hyejin asked. Her voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. Because we thought they were weak points, Thrax said quietly. In our culture, the young are not valued the same way. We thought you would surrender quickly to protect them. We thought wrong. Hyejin leaned forward. Let me explain something to you, High Commander. Human children are not a weakness. They are our strength. They are our future. They are the reason we build civilizations. They are the reason we explore space. They are the reason we will never, ever give up. I understand that now, Thrax said. We have studied your history. The war against the Kreth, 50 years of fighting, millions of lives lost, all to protect your colonies and your young ones. That is correct. We also learned, Thrax continued, that every human settlement with children has military defenses, hidden but powerful. We counted over 200 such settlements, each one protected by warships we cannot detect until they choose to reveal themselves. Hyejin nodded. Every single one. And there are more you have not found yet. Thrax looked tired. Your military budget must be enormous. It is, Hyejin agreed. Humans pay high taxes. We work long hours. We sacrifice comforts, all to make sure our children are safe, all to make sure they can grow up without fear. That is what parents do, High Commander. That is what civilized beings do. A human officer named Young-Ho entered the room. He was from intelligence services. He carried a datapad with information about Thraxi military movements. Ambassador, Young-Ho said, we have confirmed that all Thraxi vessels have withdrawn from sectors 7 through 14. They are back in their own territory. Our surveillance shows no signs of further hostile preparation. Thank you, Young-Ho, Hyejin said. She turned back to Thrax. That is good news. Now let us discuss the terms of our agreement. She activated a holographic display. It showed maps of space with borders marked in different colors. First, you will withdraw from these 7 sectors. They are too close to human colonies. We need a buffer zone. Thrax looked at the map. Those sectors contained valuable resources. Mining operations. Trade routes. But he nodded. Agreed. Second, your empire will pay reparations. Not money, resources, medical supplies, building materials, and food. These will be distributed to colonies throughout human space. How much? Thrax asked. Enough to build 5 new schools, Hyejin said. Enough to supply 10 medical centers. Enough to feed 2 settlements for a year. All places where children live. Thrax saw the symbolism. The punishment fit the crime. They had threatened children, so now they would help provide for children. Agreed, he said again. Third, you will allow human observers in your space. They will monitor your military activities. They will make sure this never happens again. This was harder for Thrax. Allowing outsiders to watch them felt like humiliation, but he had no choice. For how long? 20 years, Hyejin said. After that, we will review the situation. Thrax thought about it. 20 years was a long time, but it was better than war. Better than destruction. Agreed, he said one final time. The formal agreement was signed. Both sides entered their authorization codes. It was done. Peace was established. As they stood to leave, Thrax stopped. Ambassador, may I ask you something? Of course. The ship that defeated Commander Vex, the Prometheus. Our analysis shows it was operating at reduced power. It only used 40% of its capabilities. Why? Hyejin looked at him with serious eyes. Because Captain Hana did not want to kill anyone if she could avoid it. She wanted to disable your ships and capture your people safely. She could have destroyed your entire fleet in seconds, but she chose not to. Do you understand what that means? Thrax felt cold. It means you were protecting us. Even while we were attacking your children, you were still showing mercy. Yes, Hyejin said. Because that is who we are. We protect life when we can, but never mistake that for weakness, High Commander. If even one human child had been harmed, Captain Hana would have unleashed everything. And your fleet would have ceased to exist, Thrax nodded slowly. He finally understood. Humans were not weak. They were not soft. They were choosing to be peaceful, choosing to be merciful, but underneath that choice was strength that could shatter empires. Back on the settlement planet, life continued normally. Kira was in class again. Today they were learning about different species in the galaxy. Minho showed pictures of aliens. Tall ones, small ones, ones with scales, ones with fur. Teacher Minho, Kira asked, "Are all aliens bad?" Minho smiled. "No, Kira, most aliens are good. They want the same things we want. Safety, happiness, a good life for their children. Only a few aliens are bad. But when bad aliens come near us, the grown-ups make sure they cannot hurt anyone." "Like what happened 3 weeks ago?" another student asked. The children had heard adults talking. They knew something had happened, even if they did not know all the details. "Yes," Minho said honestly. "Some bad aliens came here. They wanted to hurt you, but Captain Hana and her ship stopped them. And now those aliens have learned not to threaten human children. They will not do it again. Are we safe?" Kira asked. Minho knelt down so he was at her eye level. "You are always safe, Kira, every moment of every day, because we are watching over you, all of us. The teachers here, the doctors, the people in ships above us, the soldiers far away. Everyone. You can play, you can learn, you can sleep peacefully. That is your job as a child. Being safe is our job as adults." Kira smiled. She believed him. All the children did, and they were right to believe. Because it was true. That night Minho looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, Captain Hana and Admiral Nari were watching. Somewhere up there, hundreds of ships stood ready. Not to attack, not to conquer, just to protect, and that made all the difference. 6 months had passed since the Thraxi tried to attack the settlement. The galaxy had changed in that time. News travels fast in space, and everyone heard what happened. The story spread from system to system, from species to species. The story was simple but powerful. The Thraxi Empire, feared warriors who had conquered many worlds, attacked a human settlement. They thought it would be easy because they saw only children and teachers. But they were wrong. The humans had ships hidden in the darkness. The humans had weapons beyond anything the Thraxi expected, and the humans showed the Thraxi what happens when you threaten their young. Other species listened to this story and learned. Some felt relief that the Thraxi had been stopped. Some felt fear about human military power. All of them remembered one important lesson: never threaten human children. On the settlement planet, life was peaceful. The children played in the fields. They attended their lessons. They laughed and learned and grew. They did not know that they had become famous across the galaxy. They were just being children. But there was one change. A Thraxi observer named Kryn now lived at the settlement. He was part of the peace agreement. He was there to learn about human culture and report back to his government. He was there to make sure both sides understood each other. At first, Kryn was uncomfortable. He was a warrior species living among teachers and children. He did not understand humans. They seemed weak to him. They spent time on art and music. They laughed often. They did not train for combat every day. But slowly, Kryn began to see things differently.
He watched Minho teach his class.
Minho was patient with the children. He answered every question. He made learning fun. But Kryn had read Minho's military record. This gentle teacher had fought in the war against the Kreth. He had destroyed enemy ships. He had saved entire colonies. He was a hero. How could the same person be both? How could someone be a fierce warrior and a kind teacher? One day, Kryn asked him. They were sitting outside watching the children play. "Teacher Minho," Kryn said, "I have read about your past. You fought in a terrible war. You killed many enemies. But now you teach children and smile all day. How can you be both things?" Minho looked at the children playing. Kira was showing another child how to draw a flower. They were laughing together. "It is not complicated," Minho said. "I fought in the war because I had to, because the Kreth were coming to hurt people like Kira. I did not enjoy fighting. I did not want to be a soldier. But I did it anyway because it was necessary. And now?" Kryn asked. "Now I teach because this is what I always wanted to do. This is who I really am. But if someone threatens these children, I will become a soldier again, without hesitation, without doubt, because protecting them is more important than anything else." Kryn was quiet for a long time. He was beginning to understand. Humans were not warriors who happened to have children. They were parents who would become warriors when necessary. It was the opposite of what he thought. Later that week, Kira approached Kryn. She was curious about him. He looked different from any adult she had seen before. "Hello," she said. "You are the alien observer, right?" "My name is Kira." Kryn looked down at the small human. She was not afraid of him, even though he was tall and covered in scales. "Yes," he said. "My name is Kryn. Do you have children?" Kira asked. The question surprised Kryn. "No, I am a soldier. Thraxi soldiers do not have families." "That is sad," Kira said. "Children are nice. They make you happy." She showed him a drawing she had made. It was a picture of stars and planets. "I drew this in class today. Do you want to see?" Kryn looked at the drawing. It was simple but colorful, made with care by small hands. "It is." "Good," he said awkwardly. He did not know how to talk to children. "Thank you." Kira smiled. "You can keep it if you want. I can make more." She ran off to play with her friends. Kryn held the drawing carefully. Something strange happened inside him. He felt protective. This small being had given him a gift. She trusted him. She was not afraid. And suddenly he understood why humans fought so hard to protect their young. Children like Kira were not weak. They were innocent. They were full of hope and dreams and kindness. They deserved to be protected. They deserved to grow up safely. Any species that did not understand this was missing something important. That evening, Kryn sent a report back to the Thraxi High Command. He wrote, "I am beginning to understand the humans. They are not weak. They have simply chosen to value life over conquest. They have chosen to build rather than destroy, and they have the strength to defend those choices. We were wrong to attack them. We were wrong about many things." On Earth, in the capital city, Chancellor Sun He was meeting with leaders from other species. They were forming a new alliance. Several smaller species had asked humans for protection. They wanted human ships watching over their colonies. They wanted their children to be as safe as human children. "We cannot protect everyone," one human admiral warned. "Our resources are not infinite." Sun He nodded. "That is true. But we can help those who cannot help themselves. We can share our technology. We can teach others how to defend their own young ones. That is better than trying to do everything alone." And so a new program began. Humans started teaching other species about defense systems, about hidden sensors, about rapid response protocols, not to make weapons, not to start wars, but to protect children, to make sure no species had to face what the Thraxi had tried to do. The phrase "protected by humans" became known across the galaxy. It meant safety. It meant that children could play without fear. It meant that settlements could grow without constant worry about attack. Even the Thraxi Empire changed. Slowly, carefully, they began to think differently about their own young. They started building schools instead of just military academies. They started valuing life instead of just conquest. It would take generations to fully change, but it was a start. 5 years after the incident, Kira was now 13 years old. She was in advanced studies, learning about space engineering. She wanted to design ships someday, safe ships that would protect people. Her teacher asked the class to write an essay about an important moment in their lives. "Kira?" They saw cubs sleeping peacefully, not realizing they were protected by humans' part. The Thraxi prisoners sat in the holding area of the Prometheus. Commander Vex and 20 of his officers were there. They were not hurt. They were not tortured. They were simply held. Human guards watched them carefully but said nothing. Vex had never been captured before. No Thraxi warrior expected to survive a lost battle. They expected death. But the humans did not kill them. They took their weapons, locked them in a clean room, and gave them food and water. It was confusing. Captain Hana entered the holding area. She stood in front of the force field that kept the prisoners inside. Vex stood up to face her. Even in defeat, he tried to look strong. "You should have killed us," Vex said. "That is what warriors do." Hana looked at him with calm eyes. "We are not like you. We do not kill when we can choose mercy. But do not mistake mercy for weakness, Commander." "Weakness," Vex spat. "You protect cubs. You let them play in open fields. You have no honor." Hana's expression hardened. "We have something better than honor, Commander. We have love. We protect our children because they are precious to us. Every single one. That is why we will always defeat people like you." She turned to leave, then stopped. "Your ship's computers have been analyzed. We found something interesting. This was not your first attempt to attack a human settlement. You have been watching 12 other colonies. All of them have children. Vex said nothing, but his face showed the truth. All 12 of those settlements are protected, Hana continued. Just like this one. Your empire has been planning to attack human children across 7 sectors. That was a very bad decision. She walked away. Behind her, Vex felt something he had never felt before. Real fear. Not fear of death. Fear of what he had awakened. On the planet below, the children were waking up from their rest time. Kira stretched and yawned. She looked around the restroom. All her friends were there. Everything seemed normal. She did not know that high above a battle had been fought and won. Minho came into the room. He smiled at the children. Did everyone sleep well? He asked. The children nodded. Some were still rubbing their eyes. Kira raised her hand. Teacher Minho, I heard a loud noise. Like thunder. But there are no clouds today. Minho knelt down next to her. He spoke gently. That was the grown-ups doing their job, Kira. Making sure you stay safe. Nothing to worry about. Safe from what? Another child asked. Minho thought carefully about his answer. The children deserved truth, but they were young. They did not need to be scared. Sometimes bad people try to come to places where children live. They think children are easy to hurt. But those bad people do not know something important. What do they not know? Kira asked. Minho smiled. They do not know that humans protect their children always, everywhere, no matter what. The grown-ups here, the ships in space, everyone. We watch over you. We will never let anyone hurt you. The children seemed satisfied with this answer. They went back to their activities, playing, learning, being children. That was exactly how it should be. Later that day, Admiral Nari's ship arrived. She was the commander of the entire human defense fleet in this region. Her ship was even larger than the Prometheus. It carried enough weapons to destroy planets, but it also carried medical supplies, teachers, engineers, and doctors. Because human military ships did not just make war, they also protected and helped. Admiral Nari met with Captain Hana in the command center. They looked at star maps showing all the Thraxi territories. How many settlements were they planning to attack? Nari asked. 12 confirmed, Hana replied. Possibly more. They were targeting colonies with children specifically. They thought we were weak because we value our young ones. Nari's face was hard. She had children of her own back on Earth. Grandchildren, too. The thought of anyone threatening children made her angry in a way few things could. Send a message to the Thraxi High Command, she said. Tell them we know about their plans. Tell them that if they do not withdraw from our space immediately, we will consider it an act of war, and tell them what that means. What does it mean, Admiral? A young officer asked. Nari looked at him. It means we will do what we did against the Kreth. Total war. Complete mobilization. We will not stop until every human child in every settlement is absolutely safe. Even if it takes 50 years. Even if it costs everything. The message was sent. It traveled across space to the Thraxi homeworld. When the High Command received it, they called an emergency meeting. Generals and admirals gathered. They watched the recordings from Commander Vex's ship. They saw how easily the humans had won. Then they accessed their intelligence databases. They searched for information about humans. What they found made them go silent. Humans had fought the Kreth for 50 years. The Kreth were a species that ate other species. They were like insects, but smart and cruel. They had destroyed 17 civilizations. But when they attacked human colonies, something happened. The humans fought back. Not just with soldiers. With everyone. Every human became a warrior when their children were threatened. They built weapons. They built ships. They fought battles that should have been impossible to win. And they won them anyway. The war ended when humans found the Kreth homeworld and gave them one choice. Stop attacking human colonies forever, or be destroyed completely. The Kreth chose survival. They had never met a species so peaceful and so terrifying at the same time. The Thraxi generals looked at each other. They had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked human cubs. They had threatened what humans valued most. And now a fleet was gathering. The recordings showed dozens of human ships arriving at the settlement. More were coming. Send a response, the highest general said. His voice was quiet, defeated. Tell them we withdraw. Tell them we will leave their space. Tell them we did not understand. Sir, another general said, this is humiliating. We are Thraxi. We do not surrender. The highest general looked at him with tired eyes. We already lost. We lost the moment Commander Vex decided to attack their cubs. We just did not know it yet. Be grateful they are giving us a chance to survive. Not all species would. Back on the settlement planet, night had fallen. The children were sleeping again. This time their dreams were peaceful. Outside their windows, stars twinkled. And among those stars, invisible guardians watched over them. Ships with powerful weapons. Ships with brave crews. Ships that would never, ever let harm come to the children below. Because that was what humans did. That was who humans were. Protectors of the innocent. Defenders of the young. And the galaxy was beginning to understand that. They saw cubs sleeping peacefully, not realizing they were protected by humans. Part 2 Captain Hana sat in the command chair of the Prometheus. Her ship had been hiding in this system for 3 months. The stealth technology made them completely invisible. No scanner could find them. No sensor could detect them. They were ghosts in the darkness. But now the hiding was over. "Captain," Lieutenant Jiho said from his station, "the warning buoy has activated. Unknown ships approaching the settlement. They are Thraxi vessels." Hana stood up. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. "Battle stations. Disable stealth. Weapons hot. Send the alert to the fleet." Around her, the bridge crew moved quickly. They had trained for this moment. Everyone knew their job. Red lights began to glow across the control panels. The ship hummed with power. "Stealth disabled," Jiho reported. "We are now visible. Thraxi ships have detected us." They look surprised, Captain." Hana allowed herself a small smile. "I imagine they are. Open a channel to the settlement. I need to speak with Deho." On the planet below, Deho was the settlement administrator. He managed supplies, coordinated schedules, and made sure everything ran smoothly. He looked like a simple office worker. But Deho had also been a soldier once. Like Minho, he had fought in the war against the Kreth. His desk computer chimed. Hana's face appeared on the screen. "Deho, we have visitors." Thraxi Empire. They ignored the warning. Deho nodded. He had expected this call. "Understood, Captain." "How many ships?" 8 total. 3 heavy cruisers, 5 fighters. They are armed and approaching the settlement. Their scans show they have been watching the children. Deho's expression darkened. Watching the children. That changed everything. "Activate the shields. Full power. Alert all adults in the settlement. Make sure every child is accounted for and safe." "Already done," Hana said. Minho reported all cubs are in the rest area. Unji has sealed the medical building. Everyone else is at their stations. Deho typed commands into his computer. Around the settlement, hidden generators began to wake up. They had been buried underground for years, never used, always ready. Now they powered up. A shimmer appeared in the air above the settlement. The shield was invisible, but it was there. Nothing could pass through it without authorization. "Shield is active," Deho confirmed. "Cubs are secure." "You are cleared to engage, Captain." Hana nodded. "Copy that." Prometheus out. She turned to her crew. "All weapons target the lead cruiser. Prepare firing solution. Wait for my command." On the vengeful Talon, chaos erupted. Commander Vex stared at his screens in disbelief. A massive warship had appeared from nowhere. It was larger than his biggest cruiser. Its weapons were powered. Its shields were stronger than anything in the Thraxi fleet. "Where did that come from?" Vex shouted. "How did we not see it?" His officers scrambled to answer. "Unknown, Commander." "It just appeared. Our sensors show nothing until now." "Scan it. What species? What weapons?" The tactical officer worked frantically. "Commander, the ship is... It is from the same species as the cubs below, the humans. And, sir, their weapons are more advanced than ours. Much more advanced." Vex felt fear for the first time in years. But he was Thraxi. Retreat was dishonor. Dishonor was death. He could not go back to his empire and admit he ran from a single ship. They are only one ship. We are 8. "Attack formation. Target their engines. Fire when ready." The Thraxi ships moved into position. Their weapons charged. Green plasma began to glow at the tips of their cannons. Hana watched them prepare. She had seen this before. Pride and arrogance. They thought numbers would win. "They were wrong, Captain," Jiho said quietly. "They are preparing to fire. Not just at us. Their fighters are targeting the settlement." Hana's jaw tightened. They were going to shoot at the children. At the place where Kira and all the others slept peacefully, not knowing what was happening above them. That was their final mistake. "Open a channel to the Thraxi commander," Hana ordered. Her voice was ice cold. The channel opened. Commander Vex's face appeared on her screen. He looked angry and confident. He still thought he could win. "This is Captain Hana of the United Earth Systems Navy," she said. Each word was hard and clear. "You have 5 seconds to reverse course. We do not give second warnings when children are threatened." Vex snarled at her. "You are one ship. We are many. Your cubs will be ours. Your planet will belong to the Thraxi Empire. Surrender now or die." Hana closed her eyes for a moment. She had hoped he would be smart. She had hoped he would leave. But he chose violence. He chose to threaten children. "So be it," she said softly. Then louder, "Jiho, show them what happens when you threaten human children." "Weapons free, engage," the Prometheus fired. Blue beams of pure energy shot across space. They were faster than Thraxi plasma. They were more powerful than anything Vex had ever seen. The beams hit 3 Thraxi ships at the same time. The first ship's shields collapsed instantly. Its engines exploded. The ship went dark, floating dead in space. The second ship tried to turn away, too late. The beam cut through its hull like paper. The third ship managed to fire back, but its plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against the Prometheus's shields. 3 ships disabled in 5 seconds. The remaining Thraxi fighters panicked. Some tried to run. Others fired desperately at the Prometheus. None of it mattered. The human ship moved through their formation like a predator through prey. Another beam. Another ship disabled. Then another. Then another. On the vengeful Talon, alarm screamed. Vex watched his fleet die around him. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is impossible. Commander!" his tactical officer shouted. "More ships! Human ships decloaking all around us. We are surrounded." Vex looked at his screens. It was true. 3 more human warships appeared from nowhere. They had been hiding too, waiting, watching. Now they formed a perfect circle around the Thraxi fleet. There was no escape. A new voice came over his communication system. This one was different, older, more authority. "Thraxi vessels, this is Admiral Nari of the United Earth Systems Navy. You are surrounded and outgunned. Power down your weapons immediately. Any further hostile action will be met with complete destruction." Vex looked at his remaining ships. 5 were already disabled. Only 3 could still fight, including his own. Against 4 human ships that were faster, stronger, and more advanced. It was not even a battle. It was an execution waiting to happen. His pride wanted to fight. His training demanded he fight, but his survival instinct finally spoke louder. "Power down weapons," he said quietly. "Send the surrender signal." Below, on the peaceful planet, the children slept on. They never knew how close danger had come. Kira dreamed of drawing pictures of stars. Her friend dreamed of playing in the river.
They were safe.
They were protected, and above them the humans made sure they stayed that way. They saw cubs sleeping peacefully, not realizing they were protected by humans' part. The stars were cold and silent in Sector 447. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his warship, the vengeful Talon, watching the scanner display with growing interest. His scaled fingers tapped against the metal console as he studied the readings. Something unusual was here. Vex was a Thraxi warrior, proud and strong. His people had conquered 17 star systems in the last 20 years. They were feared across the galaxy. When the Thraxi arrived, weaker species either surrendered or died. It was simple. It was the way of things. "Commander," his second officer called out. "We have found a planet. 3rd one from the star. It has life." Vex walked closer to the main screen. The planet appeared green and blue, covered with water and forests. His sensors showed buildings, power sources, and movement. But something was strange. There were no weapons, no military bases, no defense satellites in orbit. "What species lives there?" Vex asked. "Unknown, sir. Our database has no record of them. But we are detecting many small life forms. They appear to be juveniles. Cubs." Vex smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Cubs meant a young colony. Young colonies were easy targets. "Show me closer images." The screen changed. Now Vex could see a settlement on the planet's surface. Small buildings made of wood and stone sat near a river. Open fields surrounded them. And everywhere, there were young ones. Small bipedal creatures running, playing, learning. The scanner focused on one building. Inside, rows of tiny beings sat at tables. An adult stood at the front pointing at pictures on a wall. It was a teaching center, a school. One of the cubs was named Kira. She was 8 years old, though Commander Vex did not know this. He watched her through his scanner as she raised her hand to answer a question. Her teacher, a man named Minho, nodded and smiled at her. Kira's answer was correct. "How many adults do we see?" Vex asked. 12 in the settlement, Commander. They appear to be caregivers and teachers. We detect no soldiers, no weapons, nothing. This was perfect. Too perfect. But Vex was not suspicious. He had seen this before. Some species were simply weak. They built colonies and hoped no one would find them. But the Thraxi always found them. "Run a complete scan," Vex ordered. "Check for hidden weapons, underground bunkers, anything that could be dangerous." The scanner ran for 10 minutes. It checked everything: the ground, the buildings, the sky above. The result came back the same. No weapons, no defenses, nothing but teachers, doctors, and children. On the planet below, Minho was teaching his class about the stars. He pointed to a drawing of their solar system. Kira and the other children listened carefully. They did not know that above them, in the darkness of space, someone was watching. But Minho knew. He was not just a teacher. Years ago, he had been a soldier. He had fought in a terrible war against an enemy called the Kreth. That war had lasted 50 years. Minho had seen things he wanted to forget. When the war ended, he chose a different path. He became a teacher, but he never forgot his training. On his wrist was a small device. It looked like a watch, but it was not. It was connected to the settlement's security system. Right now, a tiny red light blinked on it. Someone was scanning them from orbit. Minho saw the light, but his face did not change. He kept teaching. He kept smiling. The children must not be scared. In the medical building, a doctor named Yunji also saw the alert. She was checking on a child with a small cut on his knee. She cleaned it, put on a bandage, and told him he would be fine. The boy smiled and ran back to play with his friends. Yunji watched him go, then looked at her own wrist device. The red light blinked steadily. She tapped the device twice. A message went out silently. It traveled faster than light, reaching beyond this star system to a place the Thraxi could not detect. Back on the vengeful Talon, Vex was making plans. "This planet is perfect," he said. "We will take the cubs as hostages. Their parents will surrender everything to get them back. This system will belong to the Thraxi Empire." His officers agreed. It seemed like an easy victory. They prepared the landing ships. They loaded weapons. They planned exactly how they would enter the settlement and capture the cubs before anyone could react. "Sir," one officer said, "what if there are more of this species somewhere else? What if they come to defend this place?" Vex laughed. "Look at them. They are weak. They let their cubs play in open fields with no protection. They have no weapons, no ships, no courage. Even if more of them exist, they will not fight. They will beg for mercy." The Thraxi fleet began to move closer to the planet. 3 large warships and 5 smaller fighters. They descended slowly through space, their weapons powered and ready. On the planet, it was afternoon. The children finished their lessons. Minho told them it was time for rest. The young ones went to a quiet room with soft beds. They lay down, closed their eyes, and began to sleep. This was their daily rest time. They did it every day. They felt safe. They felt peaceful. Kira yawned and pulled a blanket over herself. Her best friend slept in the bed next to her. Through the window, she could see blue sky and white clouds. Everything was normal. Everything was good. High above, far beyond the clouds where Kira could not see, something changed. A warning buoy in orbit suddenly activated. It had been silent and invisible, floating in space. Now it woke up. Red lights blinked across its surface. It detected the Thraxi ships. It understood what they were planning. The buoy broadcast a message in every known language. The message was simple and clear. It said, "Protected zone, human settlement. Unauthorized approach will be met with defensive measures. Commander Vex received the message. He read it and laughed again. Defensive measures where? We see nothing. This is a bluff, a lie to scare us away. Continue the approach. The Thraxi ships moved closer. They were now only minutes away from the settlement. Vex watched the sleeping cubs on his screen. They looked so peaceful, so unaware, so helpless. What Vex did not know was that the warning buoy was not alone. What he did not know was that every message the buoy sent was heard by others. What he did not know was that humans never left their children unprotected. In the darkness of space, something moved. It had been there all along, invisible and silent, watching, waiting. The Thraxi sensors could not see it. Their technology was not advanced enough. It was a ship, a human warship called the Prometheus. And it was no longer hiding.